You know, I found that the closer to God you get, or the closer to, or the closer to where you get to what God wants you to say, you start getting more and more anxious about it. Now, I don't think I used to get very anxious. Like I was just go with the flow sort of guy, and I still am. But sometimes, sometimes like today, when I'm preparing for a sermon or something, I get anxious. And sometimes that can be a good thing because the weight and responsibility is impressed upon people who are anxious sometimes, pastors, but just people who are anxious sometimes in general. The weight and responsibility of what they're doing can be impressed on them sometimes. So it is a good thing sometimes. But turn with me to Matthew 6:34. These are the words of Jesus, so as I say, we should take these a little bit more seriously. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own thing. Significance for the day is its own trouble. Now, where does anxiousness ultimately come from? Where does anxiety come from? It's important to know that. Well, anxiety ultimately comes from sin and the devil, but what I'm trying to say is what anxiety can be used for. Anxiety can be used by the devil to drive you away from something, which is its ultimate goal, or it can be used by God to prepare you for something. We were we were never meant to be anxious creatures in the beginning. In Genesis 1, we had a perfect Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. We had a perfect relationship with God. It was a symbiotic relationship, so to speak. We had a relationship with Him that, hey, we could act Him stuff directly, He could act us stuff directly, it was good. But in a subsidiary the fruit that even Adam ate, we do get worrisome about stuff because ultimately we can't nail down that God's in control. We can't nail down like we did before that God's got us. And I mean I get it. I get it too. I mean God's an invisible being, so to speak. I mean, why it's difficult to put your trust, to just put your trust in something on faith. And, but when you get mature enough, it'll be faith aside. But, but that's what anxiety can ultimately be used for, good and bad. The important thing is to discern the differences. I mean, I get anxious sometimes. It tells me, okay, this is from the devil. This is the devil trying to stop me. Oh, I'm getting anxious about this. This is God telling me. This is God telling me to hold off on the message for a while. And when I do, or whatever have you. It doesn't have to be a message. I'm just using myself as an example. And when I do that, when we do that, when we heed godly anxiety that He uses for our benefit, we weren't supposed to have it. But that doesn't mean He can't use it. When we heed that godly anxiety, it does ultimately work out for our good. It ultimately works out for His good, but it ultimately works out for our good at the same time because God loves us. He loves us more than we can ever imagine. Anxiety can be used to drive you away from God, which is exactly what the devil wants. Which is, it doesn't even have to be a big thing. It can just be used to drive you away from opportunity to honor God. And to ultimately, as it builds up over time, maybe drive you away from Him a little bit more. Because, like I say, that's ultimately, unfortunately, what the devil wants. And I have to tell you when you become Christian, anxiety goes away. It doesn't go away, but when you become Christian, like I say, anxiety can be used for one or two things. Anxiety can be used on God's behalf, on the devil's behalf. You get that discernment, which is very vital. It's important, especially for a teacher, especially for a pastor. It's very vital to understand those two vastly different scenarios. They can feel the same sometimes, but over time, over discernment, you'd realize that there's a vast chasm between them. We try to speak on behalf of God, ultimately fails. But that's like all sin, like all sinful things, how it can be ultimately used for your good by God. Everything in this world, like I say, everything is an opportunity to honor Him, even though that we think are minute, even though that we think even our bouts of unworthiness, they can be used to honor God in a very unique way that it wasn't going to be used before that time. Guys, I love you. God bless you. And I'll see you next week.